When I was a kid in the Philippines, I would dream and dream about it. I'm like, this is what I really want. And honestly, like, it wouldn't have happened until he came along again in my life.
At the time, I was studying hypnosis, and I decided to try to like hypnotize her over the phone. And I guess the spell is still working because we're still together.
15 years later.
If I count backwards from 5 and then, whatever, you're going to feel like a wet noodle.
Wait, hold on, dude. I might get hypnotized right now. Hold on.
She studied to take this test and it didn't go well. And she was kind of disappointed. And I'm like, why are you even trying to be an RN? Like, you're not a nurse. You're a hairstylist. That's what you do. That's what you're great at. That's what you're passionate about. Screw the medical field. Follow your dream. Like, follow your passion. And if you do that, I got your back.
I was like, oh my God, I think he's right. Like, I hate that he's right.
Damn it, he's right.
He's always right. I just don't like his tone.
Yeah.
After that talk, then we're like, if we're going to do it, we're
going to go all in.
From the time we talked about it, 2014, and we opened in 2017.
Yeah.
That's just like topical type stuff. Yeah. Personally, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on.
It did make me feel like backing out and not going through it. It was just too hard, like, to find the right location and custody battle at the same time when my mom was in hospice. It was just a lot. It made me stronger.
Yeah, those types of trials and tribulations, I think they're necessary sometimes. Anybody who reaches any level of success has gone through it.
The paintings on these walls that have a lot of symbolism and sentiment.
First is the orchids. That's Mama's favorite.
I told the artist, what about 3 doves around the light, going towards the light? So the funny part about this is, this guy was so crazy. He ended up using this place to just do drugs. He was camped out in one of these rooms. So
these are like left turns I'm not even expecting. Right. So it's always like a comfortable vibe.
And that's what it is. We want everyone to feel comfortable and invited, not like we're too good for you type salon. We don't want to have that bougie vibe. Everything's kind of imperfect. Beauty is just like a mosaic of a bunch of imperfections. And when you zoom out, the whole picture looks really nice.
I, for one, knew I wanted to have Salon Divina on the podcast for a long time, simply because I've been a patron for over a decade, I feel like, already.
Since the garage, or
since
the garage.
Since the garage, yeah. Like to the extra bedroom that you guys had, to
the living room.
You were renting spaces at different, those studio setups. Yeah. And then all the way to you guys actually building your own place. So when you guys actually built it, I knew right away. I was like, hey, there's so much symbolism here and everything. So I definitely wanted to have you guys on the podcast for one, but I was hoping you guys would be able to set it up here, and we're here. So
yeah, here we are. We made it happen.
Yeah. Before anything else, I want to introduce Salon Divina. I have Divina and Jonathan Sabaot. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Also known as Jonathan. That's how everybody.
Got it. Sorry.
Me here from the
salon.
Professionally, it's Jonathan Sabaot. But honestly, like to see how far you guys have come, you guys have been a source of inspiration for me. Not only just like through business or whatever, but me and Divina, we go way back since I was a kid. You were one of my babysitters growing up and everything. So, if anything, I always looked up to you guys, and to see the evolution of what you guys have become, I feel like it's a story that needs to be told. If anything, I was just curious at first to even know. Did you plan to have a salon ever, like a personal salon that you built yourself, or was this kind of one of those things that just showed up out of nowhere?
Oh, it's always been my dream to have my own salon.
Nice.
Yeah, since I was a kid, I would dream about it. So I've been doing hair for over 20 years, and when I think it was a market crash, there was 2008.
Yeah.
I decided to go to LVN school.
Because of the market crash?
Yeah. I was a single mom at the time. I had 2 kids, and I was like, okay, well, I got to do something more stable other than doing hair. Mm-hmm. So I did LVN, but I kept calling off.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
And because I wanted to do hair.
Yeah. Obviously, that makes it sound like then being a hairstylist or beautician, it's not that stable.
Right.
But it's still something you still wanted to do no matter what, though.
Yeah, I fought for it. I fought my dad.
Yeah.
He didn't want me to become a hairstylist. He wanted me to be a nurse.
It's that Filipino thing, I think. You know, that
It is.
stable job and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Actually, you should tell Jordan the story of the first time you got your LVN paycheck. What really motivated you to want to open a salon?
Yeah, it seriously like made me cry. I'm like, wow, all those hours, you know, being away from the kids. I was like, this is it? Like, it wasn't,
Oh, your first check wasn't
yeah,
like,
as an LVN.
yeah.
She's like, I make more than this like in 2 days.
It just,
man.
it just made me realize that I can be really successful as a hairstylist.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, how I went LVN route in the medical field, I think that was like meant to happen for me to appreciate, like, hey, you know, this is your passion. Like, hair is your passion.
yeah.
So,
That's one of the hard things that people are like deciding even right now. Like I would say like your kids are getting to that age where they're deciding where to go and everything like that. So, I mean, the funny thing is they probably hear you talk about it all the time. I'm not sure, but a lot of people are in this path and they're kind of at a crossroads of, should I chase my passion and what I love to do versus what's stable, what's going to give me like that check that's just regular that I don't have to worry about. If someone's in that crossroads, what would you tell them? What would you encourage them to do?
follow your heart. Like, if you're passionate about something and, you know, God gave you a gift, use it. I always told him, like, I think this is a gift that I'm supposed to share with everybody.
Yeah. They call that a purpose, right? A purpose in life.
That's true. I mean, she did exactly that. It was this whole place is basically driven by her passion for what she does and her God-given gift, you know? So none of this would have materialized if obviously that wasn't there to begin with. And I think it's easy to say that if you already know what your God-given gift is from a young age. It's easy to be like, yeah, just follow your heart. But I know there's a lot of people that are still confused about what it is they want to do. Maybe they've never even thought about it, you know? And then they get caught in that crossroads like, dang, I have to like work to pay for all the stuff that just to live instead of following something that I love to do, you know?
Yeah.
So she's lucky.
Well, that's my question. Then how did you know? How did you know it was like hair, beauty? What was it?
I just knew. Like, when I was a kid in the Philippines, probably like 7 years old, I would dream and dream about it. I'm like, this is what I really want. And honestly, like, it wouldn't have happened until he came along again in my life.
No, you know, I don't even know your guys' story. Like, I don't know how you guys met or anything. How did that play out?
So I think it was 2000.
Oh shit!
long
Don't get
time
the
ago?
dates wrong, dude. Don't get the dates wrong now,
It was
man.
1994.
Oh, she was in the 90s? Oh, yeah. What am I thinking?
1994.
I'm thinking I'm younger.
It was at Camp Follows.
Wait,
Oh,
hold
yeah?
on. Yeah, so basically, I heard about this church camp, right? Like, and I heard that there was going to be a lot of girls there.
Oh shit. Okay.
And I was like,
I know where
okay,
this is going.
cool, yeah. So my friend was like, hey, yeah, you should come to this church camp that we all go to. And like, yeah, what am I going to do there? Like, it's a church camp. I was a pretty bad kid at that time, had already like dropped out of high school and stuff.
Oh, man.
Had nothing going on for me. But I did go to this church camp to go find some girls to talk to. And yeah, I don't know how her and I connected. I think she gave me her organizer. They were called the organizers back then, where you write stuff in.
Yeah.
And she's like, here, you should put your number in here. And I was like, oh, okay. So I gave her my number. And it's funny because her sister Maribel actually took a picture of that exact moment of me with her organizer writing my number in her organizer, right? And till this day, she still denies that she ever asked me for my number. But that's proof.
Can I tell my side of the story?
Okay, yeah, there you go. There's two sides to every story. So
Yeah. Anyways, so we met at a church camp, and then she got my number, and I think it was how many months later? It was a long time. It was like a couple months. I get a phone call, and it was her. And the first thing she says is like, I don't ever call guys.
Oh.
And I was like, well, why did you call me then? So, one conversation led to the next. At the time, I was studying hypnosis, and I decided to try to like hypnotize her over the phone. And this is a true story.
No, this is for real?
It's a true story.
This is a true story. I'm like, I've been reading a lot about hypnosis because I had nothing else to do. So I was like, how do I hypnotize people? And I was like, let me just experiment. And I did try some things on her. I was like, utilizing the hypnosis techniques. And I was like, yeah, now there's like a fly buzzing around your head. And she's like, oh my God, whatever. Now like your hands are clasped together and you can't take them apart. I got it to the point where like, I was like, now your whole body feels like a wet noodle. And like, you can't like sit straight. And she just starts laughing. She's like, oh my God, I just fell off my chair. And then like, she went like completely limp.
Do you remember this? Was it real? Or were you just messing with him?
No, it's real.
No way.
Real story.
Yeah. So like I literally hypnotized her over the phone. And I guess the spell is still working because we're still together.
15 years later.
She didn't realize you were placing the spell of just falling in love
I
with
just
you.
kind of kept that to myself. Yeah. But it actually worked because I heard like a big thump. I was like, what happened? She's like, I just fell off my chair.
Yeah, I really fell off my
Yeah,
chair.
it was after I said, if I count backwards from 5 and then, whatever, you're going to feel like a wet noodle.
Wait, hold on, dude. I might get hypnotized right now. Hold on. I don't know if I trust you that much, bro.
Yeah, that's actually how we met.
I don't know if your story is a little different. Divina,
Yeah,
what do
go
you
ahead,
think? Like,
Just the organizer part.
Oh,
Like he was looking through my organizer and like because I had pictures on there. And then I get home from, camp and then I see his number on there. It's pretty slick.
so you don't remember asking
No.
him to put your... Okay, got
maybe that was just in my head, but
Maybe.
the point is my number was in there somehow.
Yeah.
it. Were you guys... How old were you guys back then? I mean...
I was 14.
I was 15.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We were youngins,
Youngins, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
just looking for girls.
At church camp. At church camp, yeah.
I saw one and I was like, she has really nice skin.
So you snuck your number into the organizer.
Yeah,
That's what
okay.
happened.
Yeah, that's
Plant
what
my seed.
happened.
Can we actually like clarify that now? Is that what happened? I mean,
Somehow it got in there. I forget if I thought she asked for it because why would I put it in there? But
So there is a picture of you looking through my organizer.
before you wrote the number in.
yeah, right before.
Got it.
I think I had a pen in my hand. Too.
Good.
No, and the reason why I asked, because like obviously your journey up to now, right? You guys have been through a lot together. If you guys were that young when you guys met,
We were only together for like 3 months.
at that time.
Yeah, at the first.
first.
And we used to
I
write
think it was more than that.
maybe 6 months we were together, right?
You better get the time right, dude. Like she's right here, dude.
Man, you know how long ago that was?
That was a long time ago.
My memory does not
1994.
serve
94. Yeah.
I just know specific details. But
Yo, we're talking 30 years, guys.
yeah, that's over 30 years. So we were together for like maybe 6 months or so. And I remember I was like, I really like her, or I love her, and we used to write letters to each other that we would actually mail and stuff. We each had a box full of letters that we write. But I think on one letter or maybe one conversation, I told her that I loved her. Right.
Oh, man.
And I told her I loved her. And then ever since then, everything changed. So like she started being very distant and started treating me like really mean and like just being so rude. And I was like, what in the heck is going on? Like I just confessed my love to this woman or this girl. And now she's being mean to me. So I was like, you know what? I don't deserve this. And like I just grabbed all her memorabilia I had of her. And I showed up at her house. I'm like,
In a box.
in a box.
In a
I'm
box,
like,
yeah.
here you go. We can just be friends. Or like we broke up at that point.
Oh shoot, yeah.
Yeah, that was 30 something years ago.
And then at some point you guys found each other again, or I mean,
Yeah.
how long was that break then?
So around the time I was in LVN school, 2010.
It was over 15 years later. That
So 15 years later, you guys kind of reignited.
Funny
again.
enough,
Oh, here we go.
Oh, shit.
no, this is the true story. I was visiting
This is
my
all true, right?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
all true. I was visiting my mom out in Fontana, and I was at some fuss spot in Rancho Cucamonga, and then I saw her sister, and I didn't actually recognize them because I didn't see them for so long, and really was like the last thing on my mind at the time. And she's like, "Hey, June, what's up? It's you." And she's like, I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And she's like, "Hey, let me get your email. And then I'll give it to my sister." And I was like, "Okay." So I gave her my email, not even thinking anything of it. Like, what? I wasn't thinking about hearing from her. And ironically, I was in an ending relationship. It was not a good relationship. And she, as I was responding to this person I was in a relationship through email, this other email pops up. And it's hard to say, but this person I was in a relationship with before was not good for me. We were not good for each other. We should
unhealthy.
not have we should never be together, right? But she was trying to get back with me. And and at the moment I was like considering it, this email pops up out of nowhere, and it was from her. And she's like, "Hey, it's Vina. Remember me?" And I'm just like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I remember you, but you're the last person that I would think would contact me. This moment right now of vulnerability."
No,
Yeah,
that's 15 years later.
15
Imagine
that was
how much
15 years later.
How much has changed?
A lot has changed. She had already had 2 kids. I had gone through we both were coming out of crazy toxic relationships.
True.
And a relationship was not something I was looking for. I was just trying to like focus on centering myself again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how we reconnected.
That is crazy. So you were in LVN school when you guys kind of reignited, or you were already in LVN?
I remember emailing him when I was at American Career College.
What were you doing at the time then when you guys kind of got back?
So I was actually all over the place because I was an artist, independent artist. So I was making music, and I was all over the place, and I had just come back from, I think it was either New York or San Francisco. I was like living in New York and San Francisco, and my dad had been bugging me to come back home because my mom got sick. She got sick with thyroid cancer, and they were needing a lot of help because they're elderly, and it was just them two, and there was not really anybody around. And for the longest time, I was living in San Francisco at the time, and she's like, and my parents were like, "Please come back. We need you. We really need your help to come back home." And so with much resistance, I did end up going back home, and saw like, wow, they really do need my help, you know? Like, I do need to be around for them because my mom's sick, and my dad was also sick because he had COPD and all this stuff. Yeah, so I had just gotten back home at the time that she contacted me, and I was not doing as much music anymore, but I was still recording and doing stuff, but like I didn't have any plans to go on any to perform or anything like that. So I was kind of just hanging out.
Got it. Then you finished LVN school, and you ended up. I mean, how long did you work on the floor before you started going for this? Your passion.
I think I was at TK for Totally Kids.
Totally Kids,
Yeah.
in San Bernardino.
Maybe 3 years or less.
No, 1 or 2, because I remember she was putting
Maybe
me
maybe
through
2
school.
years. Maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
she graduated, I started RT
Yeah.
school.
And at this time, you guys are already together, like established
We were
together.
together.
So she finished LVN, and then you went back to school.
I went back to school
while you were working.
Yeah, while she was working and doing hair
And pregnant.
and pregnant. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
You remember she was doing hair in the garage.
Yeah. I remember that.
Then she was also started to work as an LVN because she got pregnant while you were still in school.
Yeah, I graduated pregnant from
Dang,
LVN
yeah.
school.
You know, and there's a lot of people like in nursing school right now, like my students, like they're pregnant right now. Like, I have much respect for that. That's just way too much to handle.
I can't imagine. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
hard.
Okay, so let's go. So you finished RT, right?
Yeah.
And then I think you started working at TK with her.
Yeah,
Cool.
We started working there together, and by the time I started working there, she was still trying to pursue nursing, but like the RN route, and I believe trying and me working. And I'd say like it was around 2014. She didn't really have a chance to study, but she studied to take this test and it didn't go well. And she was kind of disappointed. You remember that?
It was the TEAS test.
The TEAS test.
Oh, like the entrance.
So I could bridge LVN to RN.
Yeah.
I did my prerequisites
Yeah.
to get my RN.
Yeah, I remember this specifically. It was 2014, and she didn't pass the test, and she was kind of disappointed about it. And I'm like, why are you even trying to be an RN? Like, you're not a nurse. You're a hairstylist. That's what you do. That's what you're great at. That's what you're passionate about. I'm like, screw the medical field. Like, follow your dream. Like, follow your passion. And if you do that, I got your back. You know, like, I'll support you and I'll invest with you. You know, just so you can live out your dream.
I think part of the reason why I was like really trying to get my RN is because of my dad.
Oh, really?
I just wanted to prove to him, like, hey, I can get my RN. But the more I pushed it, the more it just wouldn't happen.
And then another kid came out. And
Yeah, it
it was like, this is not happening.
It just didn't want to happen.
So then when was the decision, or what happened that made you
I
finally
think
just let go?
After he had that talk with me,
What'd you feel when he said it, though?
I was like, oh my God, I think he's right. Like, I hate that he's right.
Damn it, he's right. Come on, man.
He's always right. I just don't like his tone.
Yeah. So you knew it. I mean, the funny thing is, I see your guys' dynamic, and when we talk too about just like every decision that you guys make, I feel like you guys balance each other out. You know, I don't know if you're opposites, but you know they usually say opposites attract, and you know you kind of fill in the gaps of the other person.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you needed to hear at that time.
We definitely have a symbiotic relationship. We're definitely opposites in some ways and similar in others.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it work. You know, like,
Yeah.
and like you said, we do fill in each other's gaps and stuff, and playing off of each other and kind of freestyling it the whole time. It's kind of how we roll.
And it works, dude. That's the best part.
Works.
Yeah.
Okay, so like he has that talk with you, and you're like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to go to RN school anymore. What was that next step towards this kind of journey?
I was still doing hair at home. And then after we had that talk, what year was that?
2014.
14. So we started talking about opening up a salon here in the IE.
Back then, 2014.
2014.
After that talk, then we're like, if
Yeah.
we're gonna do it, we need to
We're going to go all in.
let's go.
There you go.
Pack up our computer and get this business plan down, and just shut everything out, and let's brainstorm. So we brainstormed, put together a general idea of what we wanted to do, which is essentially what it is now.
Yeah.
You know, what
This
we're
is our
doing now.
vision.
This is
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much what we talked about back then. The notes that I have in my computer, the time that we actually sat down. I remember it was at Victoria Gardens.
Yeah.
We like went to the
We
food
went to
court.
the library.
We went to the library.
Starbucks,
Just went to a
like,
bunch of places just to sit down and
Yeah.
to really
write everything out.
talk about every detail.
Who's more business minded out of you two
I think we're both business minded, but in different ways.
in your own way?
Yeah, we have different.
Just like what you said, like fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never get into something like this unless I knew the person that I'm gonna be involved with or partnered with was also good. You know, like knew what they were doing, and I mean, it's just like a win-win. You know, like
course.
she's been in the industry for over 20 years at the time. You know, and like that's the kind of person you want if you're gonna partner with somebody who knows the business.
Yeah.
Then you need somebody to execute, and you need somebody to think about all the things, because essentially she's an artist, right? And I understand artists. I understand how they think, and not every artist wants to think about business, you know?
True.
And that's how I was when I was an artist. Like, I didn't want to think about running a label or any of that.
Yeah.
I wanted to just record music, but you had to learn it, you know?
Yeah.
So she learned it, and we just put our minds together and bounced ideas off of each other. until something materialized. I mean, it was definitely it wasn't just like we said it and then it happened. You know,
it
was
took
a
a long
rough
time.
It was a rough road. Like from the time we talked about it, 2014, and we opened in 2017.
Yeah.
So
Wow, yeah.
that's how long it took us to. And there was a lot of like
Oh,
pitfalls,
jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
a ton of pitfalls,
So
a ton of
2015 was when did
a lot
was
of
Mama?
resistance. Oh yeah,
She was diagnosed with colon cancer.
2015, she was diagnosed.
2015.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it was beginning of January.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. That's when we got the news. Like,
Like we already signed the lease, right?
which
On
one?
the other across
Across the street.
So
Yeah.
the original location wasn't this location.
Oh.
It was where Cafe 86 used to be in that
Yeah.
In that
plaza.
complex, yeah, plaza.
Yeah.
So we signed a 5-year lease for that, not realizing we actually got bamboozled because the landlords they tricked us into a really bad deal, and it was basically like a unit this big, but they wanted to partition it, and to partition it, you have to not only put up a wall, but 2 separate systems, air conditioning, electricity, everything. And they wanted us to front the bill for that. And ironically, that wasn't in the details. And obviously, with our inexperience, I didn't read that in the contract either. Luckily, I was able to finagle us out of that lease. Another person signed on to the other lease. We actually had them pay for the partition, and then we were able to extricate ourselves from that deal, just by proving to them what they did to us was wrong in some way. In essence, like being our own lawyer, and got ourselves out of that deal. Luckily,
Yeah. And on top of this, we're talking about to Brenda now, and she's diagnosed. Dude, I think every time you're trying to tackle your dreams and your goals and stuff, life doesn't stop, right? So
No, it doesn't. Yeah, you just gotta keep going.
yeah.
aside from that, that's just like topical type stuff.
Yeah.
Personally, there was a lot of crazy stuff
It
going
did
on.
make me feel like backing out and not going through it because of that, and plus, my mom.
And other stuff too, on top of your mom.
Oh yeah, and that was another one with the 2 older kids' dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going through custody battle
Oh wow.
at the same time.
Same time.
So it was like,
Not just a custody battle. We were fighting CPS. We were fighting everything. Like one time she called me when I was at work. She's like, "Babe, they won't let me in the house. They won't let me see the kids." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like somebody had called the cops saying that we're abusing the kids, and there was cops in there and threatening to take them away. They wouldn't let her in the house. This was this was I think the same day that
So someone filed a CPS report and they went to a welfare check.
I think this was after Mama passed away already.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It's such a blur to me.
No, I know. So
But
much
I
has
definitely
happened.
went through a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Just to put everything together,
Yeah.
just there's so many stories obviously on the way to this, and I think that's why the biggest thing I want to highlight, it's no matter what, I think when you're chasing something that's worth it, I don't know what people believe, the other side or anything, all these obstacles just start showing up in your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Definitely tests your fortitude.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's necessary,
It made me stronger.
yeah, those
For
types
sure.
of trials, they talk about trials and tribulations. I think they're necessary sometimes. I think anybody who reaches any level of success has gone through it,
Yeah.
I think it's part of it.
Nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
Nothing worth it comes easy.
Wow.
Yeah. True.
That's
That's why it makes it even more worth it when you fight through all those things.
Yeah.
So you were on the way to so after that thing fell out with the other site, how did you guys find this place and how did everything pan out?
She actually went to another salon. No. Solar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say-
So I decided to go to Sola Studios because I was like, you know what? I need to get out of here. Like, I don't want to be home. Like, you know, I've been doing hair at home for a long time.
Yeah.
And then the boys, like, they were kind of old enough for me to be able to just, all right, I'm going to do my thing.
Nice.
So, you know, I talked to him about it. I'm like, hey, I was like, maybe I should just rent a room, a suite, temporarily. Like, I'll sign like maybe a 1-year lease.
It was a 2-year lease
Yeah, I actually signed a 2-year lease.
that I had to get out of that one too.
Yeah,
Wait, unknowingly, you signed for 2 years?
2 years.
Oh, okay. It was only planned for one, and then
Yeah, because 1 year in, she's like, this room stinks. Like, literally, there was a smell coming from the
there
vent.
was actually water dripping from the vents. So, like, we were fighting the
And that was a second.
owner.
Yeah, that was a second lease we had to.
Oh, wow.
That
for me to get out of that lease.
Yeah.
And plus, you were training at Sector a couple doors down, and then you found this place.
Not yet. Yeah, eventually. Yeah, because we got her out of that lease, and we were still going through different locations. We had gone through like 3-4 locations already. This was like 2015, 2016 maybe. That she was at Sola.
Yeah.
And so we had to get out of that lease. So we got out of that lease by the grace of God, and then she ended up going to this other salon that was, you know, a little bit more in the hood.
In the hood. Do you remember that?
on Riverside.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to say it, but I think I
Yeah.
remember what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
little-
it was a little.
we're not gonna say the name.
I know. I was
Yeah,
gonna say, let's not give him any clout.
No, but it was definitely a different type of. I mean, they were running a dispensary out of the back. Like,
for real?
Yeah, they were.
Okay, there was a shady vibe over there. I'm like,
it was a little.
the funny
weird.
thing is, every time you guys talk about a place that you were cutting hair, like I've been there. That's
Yeah.
the funny thing.
Yeah.
Like now,
so
I'm
you
getting
remember all those?
Yeah.
what
I'm
was
getting the
going on?
the behind the scenes now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
jeez,
So you've been to that?
I went to that one a few times actually.
He
So
followed me everywhere.
right. So that was after.
That's when you were pregnant with Noe.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, pregnant with Noe.
Oh man.
She got out of that. We got out of that lease, and she went over there. And I was training actually a couple doors down at
here.
Sector Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a dentist actually before.
Yeah,
and
I used to go to the dentist here.
Yeah, this was a dentist, and then one day I saw that like they had moved out, and it was like for lease or whatever. And at this time, we were already like, oh, we've been through so many locations, nothing's gonna work out. We were already in talks for like 2 other locations, in Chino Hills and one in Chino, and talking to the landlords over there. And this dentist had moved out, and I was like, I called her because I drove by. I'm like, hey babe, there's another location. It's a dentist. They moved out.
I'm like, what? What is it? Where?
Like, all right,
Another
just
location.
call, whatever. So I talked to the owner of Sector, and she was kind enough to introduce me to the landlord.
Nice.
And I told them like, yeah, you know, we're interested in renting this place. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, there's another dentist that wants to move in, and we're kind of locked in with them. I'm like, yeah, all right, that's cool. I already figured like that wasn't gonna go through anyway.
Yeah.
And then one day I was at the park with my kids, and I get a call, and it was from the landlord, and he was like, hey, Jonathan, the deal with the dentist fell through. Would you happen to still be interested? And in my head, I was like, oh, heck yeah. But then I was like, but to him, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, we're in talks with 2 other places. And they're like, well, you know, like we were thinking about it, and a salon would be a great idea. And, you know, there's a nail shop here, this and that. And I was like, yeah,
sense.
but I'm getting a pretty good deal at the other spots. And I had no deal whatsoever. Like,
Yeah.
I was just
Playing the
looking
game.
at locations. Yeah.
Play the game.
He's like, how about we sweeten the deal for you? And I'm just like, I don't know. What do you got?
Yeah.
And then we went over some details, and I was like, I think it's a good deal, babe.
Dang.
Like, you want to do it? And we're like, yeah, we don't have any money, but let's do it. So we did it. Like, we signed
You
the
just jump on it.
We gave them our financials. I don't know how it got approved, but they're like, cool. You know, they trust us. They think we're gonna do fine. And then we signed the lease for this, and it was 5 years.
Dang. And this is in 2017.
This was in 20.
I think we signed 2016.
We signed in 2016.
Launched, opened in 2017.
We opened in 2017. It took us a few months. They gave us a few months of concessions and stuff, and
No, and I
TI
know,
build up.
I know from the probably 2016 and 2017, there was a lot of challenges even opening this place up. You guys faced a lot of challenges, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not only with the place, but even emotionally, I think just the stress alone, I think would be enough challenge.
What was it? Did we move into our other? We just also just bought a house too, right?
Yeah. After Mama passed away, we finally moved out of the Piedmont house where I was doing hair at home in the garage, and then we bought like how many streets down? It's like really close.
A neighborhood over.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah. So we were moving, and then we were building this up at the same time. Is that what happened?
Yeah, we moved, and and then we were like, shoot, now we got to build a salon.
Yeah.
And like
Dang.
everything kind of just started to like cave in on us. We're like, dang. And then it was crazy because this house, I thought it was cool because it had like the fully landscaped. It had like 27 palm trees all over the place, and it was like beautifully landscaped house. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, I love this house. And then like freaking 3 months in, all the trees are like overgrowing, and we're getting notes from the neighbors, and they're like, you guys got to cut your palm trees because it's.
And we were the youngest neighbors.
We're like the youngest neighbors. Everyone's like retired and stuff. And then I'm like, dang, we have to cut these palm trees. How many palm trees are these? And like, I got a figure. It was like somewhere around $900 to like cut all the palm trees, to trim them. And I'm like, how often do we have to do this? And it's like every 3 months.
Yeah.
It got to the point where we had to like give a car to our gardener to pay for him cutting our palm trees.
Literally give him a car.
We had to give your mom's car. Sorry.
We were just
We had no money.
survive.
Oh my gosh.
We're just trying to survive. We had no money. Yeah, it was. This place was getting built up. We had to have faith in our contractor. The contractors had to have faith in us that we're actually going to do this. And we really didn't have a lot of money. We had no money. I remember there was a point where I was working at TK, and we're full on building this place, and I'm getting calls left and right from like
Contractors,
the contractors, the subcontractors, the sign guy. He's like, "Hey, Jonathan, so I'm gonna need the $5,000 by tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. I got it." And I remember I took a picture of it. I looked in my account and it had $5 in it. I had $5 in my bank account. Do you remember that? I sent her the picture. I'm like, I have $5.
And then we were going through refinancing our house
Oh man.
at the same time.
So we can actually have some money.
And we were waiting for that. And
You're still waiting for it. Yeah.
There was like a.
It was a big. There's a big holdup with. It was to the point where I wasn't. Yeah, it might not. I thought it wasn't going to go through.
Yeah. So he was trying to keep everybody on ice.
Yeah, so everybody's asking me for money. We had no money.
And I was like, okay, just
refi
hold
is not going through.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to instill faith in everybody that we're still doing this. And I was telling our contractors, I'm like, just keep building. But it got to the point where they're like, we can't build anymore. We need more money because we don't have any supplies. Yeah. I'm like, all right, just hold on. We're just waiting for some stuff to clear. And I remember this specifically. We literally had no money, and we were 2-3 months into our free TI, free rent while we build up.
Nice.
And we only had like 1 or 2 months to go. And I remember just thinking, I'm just gonna watch Breaking Bad, like the whole series, whatever. And we just like binged watched Netflix the whole time, while this whole thing was just like, is it gonna go through? And people are asking us like, so what's going on with this loan? We're just like,
so many people were wondering like, when is it gonna open?
Oh shoot, I was wondering, man. I was like,
we're just like.
I mean, obviously,
it'll happen when it happens.
No, that's why, like, obviously, like, there would be a lot of panic, right? But it didn't seem like there was a lot of panic with you guys.
Oh, yeah, there was.
There was a panic, but at the same time, there was an underlying feeling of this is supposed to happen, and it's not in our hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's in God's hands.
There you go.
So I'm like, this is in God's hands, and if it's in God's hands, why are we stressing about it? That's why I binge watched on Netflix, because I knew it wasn't up to me. It wasn't even up to her. It's the powers that be.
And then the refi went through.
Yeah. Lo and
everything
behold,
was-
it just went through like somehow. And then finally, some money came along and we're like, all right, I told you guys, just keep building. Here, start writing checks to everybody. Like all of a sudden, everything just started popping up, right?
And that was fast too.
Yeah.
Once everyone got paid, it was like,
It was like,
whoa,
boom, yeah,
you have
like-
to open.
Yeah, and like almost a month.
I'm like,
but
all
we
the
were
equipment.
we were already paying rent. It got to the point where our TI ran out, and we had to pay rent for a couple months. And we just bought a house, and our stupid palm trees were growing.
Yeah.
Like everything, and then we just had like and our neighbors are cut your grass. We're just like, I was like, dang. There's a lot going on right now,
there was a lot.
Freaking washer dryer was breaking, like everything was bad. Everything was going haywire at the time, and
Man.
it was a little stressful.
Are you overwhelmed?
Dude, I'm already overwhelmed just hearing about this, man. No, and then on top of all this, like if you don't mind, like I know when at the Brenda, she's like my tita, like when she was really sick, I think you were one of the main ones taking care of her too. When this whole thing was playing out, I know that she played a big role on why this place is the way it is and how much it means to you. So I don't know, when she got sick and when she was when her time was almost up, I don't know what exactly you were going through. I mean, I saw it from the outside being a client of yours, but what was going through your head when she was going through that and you were trying to build this?
So I was still doing hair at home while taking care of her. I did tell her maybe we shouldn't go through the whole salon business, and she was pushing for it. She said, do it and follow your dreams. So I still went for it.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I was like, no, I don't think I want to do it anymore, just because it was just too hard, like to find the right location and, all these things, like with like custody battle at the same time when my mom was in hospice. Like it was just a lot.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wow, like how much more can I take? Like how much more
Also,
is going to be
like,
thrown at me?
Also, the kids getting like taken away or crazy stuff like was going on because
Like after my mom passed away, the two older kids ended up at their dad's.
Oh,
yeah,
So
he had successfully convinced whoever that
the judge,
the judge that their kids, that the two older ones were getting abused,
and that I'm not a fit mom.
and that she's not a fit mom.
Yeah.
It all turned out obviously untrue, and then
Yeah, yeah.
The truth eventually came out in the wash. But at the time, it was like, wow, this sucks. Like cops showing up in the middle of the night, like
yeah.
somebody called the cops on you saying that and like everyone's just chilling, like, and cops would come in, I'd have to show them around, and like they're like, you don't see any signs of anything. Like what do you mean?
Yeah.
So that went on for a long time.
Yeah.
I even had to go to court.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a time where she went to court for something, and then all of a sudden she's looking at the board where all these cases are, and then she saw my name versus the older kid's dad, and she's like, "Oh my God, babe, he's taking you to court." I'm like, "What? For what?"
Yeah.
So I was like,
For what?
"Huh?
For what?
Remember you saw
Yeah, I
that he
remember. Yeah, I remember.
abuse, right?"
But it was like directly to you.
This one,
This court,
this time-
Both
this
of us.
case.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was directed to us.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had found, like, this is getting pretty candid. You can edit this out if you want.
It's up to you guys, but I mean,
But I found like a Skype. Remember what's this? Not Skype. The thing where you would like type to each other. I don't know.
like
what that was.
instant messenger, like
Yeah,
AOL.
but it was like on the computer.
Yeah.
So between like our eldest and then his dad was like a dialogue written out, and
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
a conversation.
Yeah.
And
It was like a transcript of it.
of their conversation, and it was like, and then this was when I found out like why are cops coming to our house? Like I don't get this. So I took his computer, and I took our son's computer, and I opened up the computer, and I found like this whole dialogue between him and his dad, and his dad just saying like, oh, like you need to get your mom mad, you need to get her to hit you, and did your mom hit you today, and did you, and then it was like a bunch of crazy stuff,
like almost like grooming him to
him
cause a problem.
And it was a trade-off, like he would tell him that, and if you do that, I'll get you like gifts.
Yeah,
so there were always packages coming through
at the front door.
Yeah. So anyways, long story short, I find out I got to go to court, but I was never informed of this. She just happened to see my name, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go defend myself, because what is this all about, right?
Yeah.
So I dress up, I look all nice and stuff, and then I grab this little folder off the table, and I go to court, and then all of a sudden, their dad starts walking towards me, and he looks up, and he looks like he just saw a ghost. He's like, hey. And then he had this big old suitcase. It was so big. It was like he was carrying like a duffel bag full of papers, as if it was full of files, right? And his eyes were all bloodshot. He wasn't shaved. He just looked like crap, right? And I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, what's up? I'm like, what?
Like you got summoned here, like
I'm here because you're suing, or you have something against me, right? I don't know what it is. He's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just want to find out what's going on. I'm like, what's what? Like, he's like, I don't know. Like, Isaiah's telling me things and this and that. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, fine. Like, and he was looking at this folder that I had. I had a little tiny folder, and he had this big old suitcase, and we ended up in the elevator together.
Oh shit!
And we're just like on the way to the third floor, and he's just like looking at my folder, and I'm like just looking at him, and he's like, yeah, so we'll see. I'm like, yeah, we'll see, right? So we get into the courthouse, the courtroom, I should say. And then he's like, yeah, man, he was telling me on the elevator, he's like, I don't know, man, Isaiah's saying like this is happening and that's happening. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, like, let's get to the bottom of this. Yeah. I know what was happening. Like, nothing that
you got nothing to hide.
There's nothing to hide, right? Yeah. So I'm like, no, that's cool. Let's go through with this, right? So we get into the courtroom, and then he sits down on a bench, and then I sit right next to him, and I place this folder right next to him, right in between us. And he's like looking at the folder, and he's like looking up, and he's looking nervous. And all of a sudden, like, the proceedings start happening in the court, and he's like, all of a sudden he turns to me, he's like, hey bro, I think I made a mistake. I was like, what do you mean? Mm-hmm. He's like, I think Isaiah is lying to me. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't think it's true. Like, I don't think you guys are abusing the kids. And I was like, oh, you think? Like, you really think we're not? Or you do think we are? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. I just don't think it's true. And I go, well, he's like, I think I'm going to call it off. I'm like, oh no, we're not calling this off. I'm like, we're going to find out what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to go through with this. He's like, all right. So like, so our case hasn't been called yet. And then, there's a recess, and he pulls me outside. He's like, hey bro, can I just talk to you man to man? I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he goes, I think Isaiah's lying. I don't think you guys did anything to Ali and Isaiah. And I think this whole case is probably not real. And I'm like, oh, you think? Like, I'm like, okay, so now what? What do you want to do? Yeah. He's like, I think I'm just going to call it off. I'm like, how are you going to call it off? He's like, I'm just going to go in there and like, I'm going to call it off. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So like, recess ends, we go in there, and finally they call our case. And he's like, oh, let me gather my stuff. So he gets his big old suitcase and like carries it up to the front, and he puts it on top of the podium. And then the judge, and he's like shuffling through these papers.
Oh gosh.
And then the judge pulls up his case. He goes, this isn't even filed correctly. Case dismissed.
Oh.
He just tossed it aside, and then he was all still looking for papers, like something was going to happen. And then all of a sudden he's like, huh? Oh, okay. And he just like gets his stuff and then goes off to the side. And I'm just like, idiot, right? I'm like wasting my time. So I go outside, and he's like, yeah, bro, like, this is good. I'm glad that the judge said this, whatever. I'm going to withdraw the case. And I really appreciate you. You know, you're taking care of my kids. And all of a sudden, everything changed.
Everything changes.
He's like, I just want to thank you, you know, from man to man. I know you take good care of the kids and blah, blah, blah. So everything just, these are the types of things we were dealing with, like that were happening a lot. Like they actually got taken away. Type of thing, like almost to where our bio kids were gonna get taken away, and that's why I was like, "Oh hell no!"
Oh yeah,
this is not. There's gonna be violence, you know. Like it was. If it would have got to that point, I wouldn't know how to contain myself. So
that's a lot of restraint, dude. You're. I mean, that's the thing. I think you have nothing to hide. Like you're literally in an elevator with this guy who's accusing you of something.
Hey, you know what's funny? You know,
Does he know? Did he know that you did like jujitsu and all that shit?
And funny, I wasn't at the time. He was more afraid of what I had in the folder. And you know what's funny? Yeah. I brought it just to take notes, but what was actually in there were like little drawings that Allie did of like a unicorn or something like that. There was nothing in there. It was like there was nothing in there, but he was so scared of it. And then I remember coming home and opening it. It was like little drawings that Allie did. Allie was like 5 at the time.
Oh man,
or 6. I don't know. She was young, so he was scared of that. I thought it was funny.
But you know what, man? If you guys have nothing to hide, obviously, what are you afraid of, right? And I think that's what it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known you guys for this long, and there's nothing but just genuine authenticity when it comes to you guys. And I see that. And me and Gracie, like we talk, and we're like, you're the one of the couples that we really look up to. Just like your dynamic and what you guys have achieved up to this point. You know, it's I mean. I know, like, I truly believe that there's something bigger than us that's like moving things for us, and it manifests in our life and everything like that. I mean, everything that's happened, like when you're building something like this big, things happen, they get in your way. It's almost unexplainable how things play out.
Yeah.
You know, and I truly believe that there's, you know, someone up there, you know, watching out for you guys, or moving things, maneuvering things around for you. And just to be a witness as a client, as a patron of this place, I'm like, the story doesn't even have to make sense. It just is.
Thank you for that. We appreciate it. But it's funny that you say that, because it's true. Like, I'm a knucklehead. Like, we're just kind of like, and like, you know, these, like, it's not in our control, you know, like we're just a pawn in a play of forces beyond our control, you know. So obviously she has her passion, and she chose me to share this journey with, and I'm super honored by that. But you know, like you said, there's other forces at play.
Yeah.
And we're just
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, you know, like I was hoping you guys were willing to have the podcast be filmed against this wall, because I know this wall is very sentimental. Can you guys kind of just like, I mean, if anything, we can't see the entire thing. I'll show a picture of it, but like there's the paintings on these walls that have a lot of symbolism and sentiment. So when you guys designed this place, what were you thinking, and what was that process like?
Well, first is the orchids.
Mm-hmm.
That's Mama's favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to really do my research on which orchid. Do you remember when I was like Googling pictures of like which one it would be? Like I had this vision that I would want it to like kind of like come across the wall, not just like on the corner. So yeah, that's dedicated for my mom, and the doves here is from when it was during her funeral, right? The burial. Yeah. There was doves. I forget how many there was, but there was one that actually stayed and didn't want to fly away with the rest of the doves.
Oh, like, yeah, like they do that kind of like ceremonially, right? Like they release a dove.
Yeah.
And then there was one that didn't?
Yeah, there was one that didn't want to fly away. And we knew that was my mom. Yeah.
Actually, do you remember it was a surprise?
What?
The murals.
That wasn't. I think this was a surprise.
This was a surprise.
This is a surprise.
Yeah. So she didn't know this was going to go up.
Yeah.
This
She didn't know. So originally,
That I picked out.
we actually have a picture. Originally, it was like I had to put my touch and put some crazy thing across. So we were working with another extremely talented artist. Like this guy's was amazing. Obviously, he did this, but he had his demons, you know. Anyways, I let him stay in here to finish these murals. We told him what we wanted. She didn't know about this. This was a surprise.
Yeah, this wall I didn't know about.
Yeah,
but I knew that wall
was going up.
Yeah.
But I had talked to the artist about it, and I said I think we should do this to symbolize. You know, I was explaining to her, the artist about her mom and everything, and like kind of like the three sisters, and each dove represents a sister. The light in the middle is like her mom, you know, the soul of her mom. So I was talking to the artist about that, and he liked it. He liked the idea of that, and then we came up with this. I told the artist, what about three doves around the light, right?
Nice. Going
Towards the light. So the funny part about this is this guy was so crazy, like he ended up using this place to just do drugs. Like he was camped out in one of these rooms. So
these are like left turns I'm not even expecting right now.
So this was a 7-day process,
wow.
right?
Okay.
We put construction on hold because we had done the floors. All this stuff was up, and the final stage was like, I don't know, painting, or I forgot what the final stages were. Anyways, we got this guy to paint these murals, and he's like, yeah, I could do it. So the first day, he starts doing the clouds and all this stuff, and over here, and then the outline of the orchids, and I have pictures of it, you know, and I'm like, wow, this is like turning out really awesome, right? He's like, yeah, so I just need to stay here overnight and I'll take care of it. Come in the next day, the place is trashed. Like all the walls were like paint splashed everywhere. And I'm like, what happened? Like, what happened to the beautiful beginning of these paintings? He's like, oh, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I had to start all over. And then I was like, okay. Well, cool. Do what you got to do. You're an artist. I understand artists. Whatever. I'm like, oh,
artists
cool. Do your thing, man. He's like, I just need to stay another night. Stays over another night. The next day, it starts to come together again. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I like it. It looks even better. And then he's like, yeah, I just need to stay another night. Come in the third day, boom, everything's jacked up again. I was like, what? And then I go into one of these rooms, and like he's all like camped out. He has like the rooms are empty. He has a sleeping bag and all this stuff. Obviously, there's nothing in here yet because it's still being built. So I didn't care that he was in here as long as he did the work.
Yeah.
Fourth day, looks beautiful again. I'm like, oh, nice. Like, you know, this is really good. And then fifth day comes along, trashed again. And I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, he's like, no, I just need more money. I just need money. I need to go get more supplies. I'm like, I'm not going to give you the rest of the money until this is done. Sixth day comes along. It's trashed, right? And I'm like, dude, the contractors are coming back tomorrow. If you're not done by tomorrow, I'm just going to paint this whole thing gray, and I'm not going to give you any money, like, at all. And he's like, no, I'll get it done. And mind you, it was trashed. And I was like, this is your last day. And if you don't get it done, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to kick you out and not pay you.
Yeah.
I come in the seventh day, and this is what was up. I was like,
Dang.
it's like God was like, just freaking do your job, you know? Like he just did it in this miraculously beautiful paintings, like on both walls. I was like, you just did the Lord's work, you know? He was like, yeah, all crazy and stuff. And
how did you meet this guy? I'm just curious. Like,
he was a referral.
Yeah, the guy that did our floors.
He's friends with the guy.
Okay.
So the guy that did our floors, it was his friend. They worked together. So we hired a guy to do our floors. He's like, hey man, I gotta show you this guy. I gotta introduce you to this guy. He's a really talented artist and this. I'm like, yeah, I'll meet him. And then I met him, and he showed me his artwork. I was like, wow, this guy's really awesome. Like his artwork was amazing. So I was like, yeah, heck yeah, like let's hire this guy, you know? And I told her, like, he's pretty good. She's like, okay. And I remember trying to keep it on the low from her. She was working at that salon on Riverside. You know?
Okay. That one, the one that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah. And like all kinds of crazy stuff was going on here while she was doing hair there. Like she would FaceTime me and like people are in the background. She's like, who's that? Who's that? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's just all these contractors walking around. And just do hair. But yeah, this was like one of those things where like somebody who just possesses this God-given talent, but is consumed or, by their own personal demons.
Yeah.
But is still able to do the work, It's kind of amazing, like how these things happen,
If I would have never known. Like you walk in, and I'm sure your customers don't even know. Like you see these beautiful paintings.
No.
I would have never known that there was like a druggie living here for a week.
I was stressing. I was like, this is not gonna work out. Like
He didn't want to leave.
He didn't want to leave.
He didn't want to
sure.
leave after
Yeah.
the job was done.
And after he was done, I mean, it was funny because he finished it. I came in sharp, 7 a.m. sharp. I'm like, this dude better be done.
Yeah.
Because if he's not done, I don't know if to kick his ass, but like, I came in and it looked like this. I was like, holy crap, like this is freaking amazing. And right then the other contractors started coming in because they had to start their work again. And they're looking around. They're like, whoa, like, that's cool. Like, who did this? I'm like, this guy.
this
dude right here. He's all crazy looking guy. But yeah, he was actually he's a cool guy. But he was very sketch, and I'm just glad that it worked out.
Okay, now that this place is established and everything, I mean, obviously, like with the business minds that you guys have and your creativity, your artistry, what do you guys look forward to? Like, do you guys have further plans, or how's everything going right now, and where are we going?
Wherever the wind takes us.
Dude, that's like your guys' story. That's so crazy to me, though.
Ready, babe?
No, it's funny because like you see online, people go to your IG page and you guys are posting everything, and you guys have a lot of stylists that work here now. I mean, I come in every 3 to 4 weeks now on average. So like, yeah, I've seen stylists come and go, and obviously for some situations it works out, some it doesn't. But I see that you guys are open to more stylists, or even people just looking to learn. Right. And stuff. And I think you've always talked to me about that. Like you look forward to teaching the next generation and stuff like that. So I would have never known these things happen. Like the way you guys are explaining, it's amazing. All your stories are like literally like that Forrest Gump. Like, I don't know how it played out. It just happens. Is it just trusting? Is that what it really is? Believing in yourself? Is it trusting in God? Or is it just like, you know what? Things are going to happen the way they are.
It's timing.
Yeah, I think it's all of it. I mean, if you trust the process, good things happen, Yeah. Sometimes we don't understand the process. We don't understand why things are happening at the time that they're happening. But I think if you have that underlying understanding that it's part of the process, it makes it a little easier to accept all the hurdles you have to jump over and just think of it as like, this is another test. I'm not going to panic, Yeah. We can't panic.
Yeah, you seriously can't.
Once you panic, you lose the fight. I learned that in jiu-jitsu. Like, oh yeah. So that's how there's a lot of, we do have plans that we talk about, and we can't say a lot about it.
Of course.
Right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, of course there's
maybe for your second podcast.
Oh shoot, there you go. To be continued. Man.
To be continued.
No, and that's the amazing thing, because I know like you guys have so many ideas. I could already tell, and like you guys are looking forward. And we talk about building wealth and security, freedom, like for our kids and everything. And that's why I say like I look up to you guys. You guys have a good perspective. And it's really good. Like, I mean, I love talking. I mean, Divina, you're like my therapist every few weeks. And I'm sure you feel like that. Like people open up to you just because you're cutting their hair and you just sit with somebody for an hour.
I honestly don't even have to ask. You guys are just open book as soon as you're like sitting on my chair.
Yeah. No, as soon as I sit down, it's like, hey, so what's new? It's like, wow, we just tell you everything. No, and it's the service you provide people. Like honestly, it's such a good vibe over here. I always enjoy my vibe here. And like even when the kids like, you know, and their mom visit and stuff, and it's always a good environment, you know. And I know you guys work hard to keep it that way too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that was one of the most important parts of, I mean, we had to, you know, how we didn't have a lot of money. So we had to build a lot of the stuff ourselves. And I think a lot of that contributes to the vibe, you know.
Yeah.
The soul of the place has its own soul and vibe.
It does.
People notice that right off the bat. I think that's probably something we focus on a lot. Like,
Yeah.
the vibe has to be good.
Yeah.
You know, like, and if someone doesn't compliment the feng shui, then they can't be here, you know?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, stylists have come and gone, but
Yeah.
I mean, even to the point of like you guys talk about like the music is just, you know, like it has to be a certain way because that's our vibe.
Yeah.
Right.
Should be. I mean, I think nostalgia has a very powerful psychological effect on people. And it gives them the feeling of a good vibe when they hear nostalgic music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love the whole music part. I remember when, specifically when building these actual stations that we were using.
Yeah.
The whole place was, our whole house was wrecked because I'm not a very neat person, so I had stuff everywhere. But I remember just I took 3 weeks off from work to specifically focus on that, and my whole goal at that time not only was to build this stuff, but let's put together the vibe, the music, you know, like what people would feel. And
You know, I mean, I don't go to a lot of salons, obviously, you would imagine, but your guys' setup, like, it's almost like everything's just mobile. Everything's free flowing in here. Like, you can set it up any way you want.
yeah,
Everything. The mirrors, the chairs, like the cabinets and everything.
that was intentional. Even that
Yeah.
has wheels. Like,
I mean, I don't even know other salons. Do they do that? Or this is like, I've never seen it.
Most of them are stationary.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Most of them, they're like mounted to the
Yeah.
wall or
Yeah,
the ground.
and everyone's facing away,
Yeah.
like to the wall.
So a lot of it, like her idea was, especially to maximize space. If we had everything against the wall, we would obviously lose a lot of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used it, the idea of just having like a station and one stylist on each side. So therefore, you have 4
To
stations,
maximize
but
the
8
square
stylists.
footage.
To maximize the square footage. Like,
Yeah.
So even though it's 4 stations, it's essentially 8 stylists behind each
Yeah,
chair.
we used this whole space. Like, we didn't want dead space.
Yeah. No, I love it. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I don't even think other salons do this. This is pretty crazy.
No.
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of research on what other salons did.
It was just what you guys
Usually,
wanted.
Like the mirrors are on the wall.
That's what I
Yeah,
noticed.
and
against
it's
the
just
wall.
straight.
True.
Yeah.
That's what I see a lot. A lot of things I also saw, and that's not a bad thing, is the pristine. What is the perfect? How do you say it?
Like how everything's white.
Everything's just so perfect in other
Perfect.
salons.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
very clean.
Yeah.
It is.
And then it also creates another kind of vibe where you almost don't feel welcome sometimes. Like I've been in salons where it's so like nice that I feel like I'm not even good enough to be in there. And they also have that attitude, that vibe too. Like, yeah, you know,
Something about the bougie salon.
like, yeah, really bougie salons. And I'm like, we don't want to have that bougie vibe, you know?
Yeah. So what vibe, like, would you describe this as though? Like, what did you guys go for?
I mean, it's somewhat industrial. It's a little bit of, it's a mix of things because if you notice, everything's kind of imperfect, right?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
for me, what I've always attributed to is like, beauty is just like a mosaic of a bunch of imperfections. And then when you zoom out, the whole picture looks really nice. But if you zoom in, you see all the little divots in the floor. You see like everything's all jacked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the overall
That's
aesthetic,
okay.
yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Nothing's perfect.
Yeah. It's perfectly imperfect.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's kind of like what it isn't like we meant to, oh, let's make it like this. It just came about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I remember when they wanted to do the floors, they're like, oh, let me like buff it out all nice and make it all polished. I'm like, no, do not. Just leave everything. Leave it. This is exactly the floor, whatever they did before.
Yeah.
Like, you can see the plumbing lines running through. Like,
Yeah.
there's cracks everywhere. But I think it looks cool.
No,
Gives it more character.
it does. It adds to the energy of, I mean, it's exactly what you guys are going for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Like, me, Gracie, and the girls, like, we enjoy coming here because it's always like a comfortable vibe.
And that's what it is. We want everyone to feel comfortable and invited
Yeah.
in, not like we're too good for you type salon, like yes, you're all welcome. Like we welcome everybody. You know, well,
And you guys just celebrated your anniversary,
Yes.
right?
6 years.
6 years. And we were happy to even just be able to swing by for a little bit. But like the best part about it is I can see that even like you and your clients and your stylists, you guys are all like a family.
yeah,
You hosted a really fun party. Like there was food outside and everything. Everyone's playing games in here.
that's important, right? You got to have a good team. It takes time to build the right team, and once you have the right team, you cherish it and you take care of that team, and make sure that they're happy and they can take care of their families and stuff. If you don't do that, if you're not a good servant, you can't be a good leader. And we have to serve our people, you know. So that way they can make a living for themselves and be successful. If they don't succeed, we don't succeed. In order to do that, we all have to be on the same page. So we kind of keep that as a mantra for the salon, between everybody. We're all here for each other. We're not competing with each other.
Nice.
We have each other's back.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys are like that with all even your friends, your other communities, your other groups, like your jiu-jitsu team and everything. You guys just are all around welcoming people. And I really appreciate that about you guys.
Yeah. You give what you want to receive as well.
Yeah.
So, and I think, you know, people that come from hardships or, you know, things that are unjustified towards us or whatever, it kind of makes us appreciate all the good that has come our way. We're very lucky and blessed for this to even happen. And I think the gratitude itself pays itself forward. You know, like you live full of gratitude, and the more blessings come your way. you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels. So you don't really have to think about it at that point if you just are always full of gratitude.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, and I know like whatever you guys have planned, I mean, we get the weekly updates, if anything, and nothing really ends, right? Like, I mean, there's always another challenge, whether it's personal, whether it's business or whatever. Like, it's funny because I know like your guys' answer is probably gonna be like, oh, we just go with the wind, but like, I know you guys are very active. You guys like, you know, find time to work out and everything like that. But when we talk like keeping a sound mind and a sound body, like what do you guys do to kind of maintain that balance though? Like with all the stress that you're dealing with?
I feel like exercising is to de-stress.
Yeah.
Like without it, I'd be more stressed.
I feel like I'm a nicer mom, a nicer wife when I exercise, when I do a lot of self-care.
It's science, bro. Like, you know, you take care of yourself and you feel good. It's like, it's pretty simple, to be honest. It's simple. I think what happens is people get confused of what they're supposed to do. They can get confused of the kind of food that they're supposed to eat when really it's like very simple. But I mean, yeah, you have to find time to, I do. I'm not saying anybody has to do it, but I know for us and our family, I think health is very important.
Very, very important.
I mean, even like Warren Buffett said, like the greatest investment you can make is in your health. You know, if you can have all the money in the world, if you're not healthy, what does it matter? You can't enjoy it. You can't do anything. So we do what we can to stay as healthy as possible, just for ourselves and of course, for our family. Feels good too.
Yeah, and the kids are still young. Like we have to be able to keep up with them.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you exercise and you stay active,
Yeah.
and keep up.
Finding the time to do that is a whole other thing,
Yeah,
but
it's just
you
balance though.
make it happen.
Time management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To accomplish as much as you guys have, I mean, I feel like you guys don't even age. I feel like you guys have just kept that youth in you. No, like I'm not even trying to like, you know.
Well. Wow.
For me, like, yeah, it's a well-balanced family I feel like you guys have. And, you know,
It's pretty chaotic to me, if you ask me.
You know, behind closed doors. Yeah.
You have no idea, Jordan.
There's a lot of love in the house, but it is also crazy.
Yeah, it's chaotic is the word.
It's wild in there.
Yes.
It's very wild.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, as of right now, like Noe is your youngest. How old is she now?
7.
7. Mm-hmm. And then obviously Isaiah is like the oldest. How old is he?
22.
22. Damn.
That's the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. As of right now, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You deal with the different challenges of each age.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wear different hats, right?
Wear different hats, be
Yeah.
on different levels. I gotta be like, yo, man, I'm like Skibbity Rizzler over here, whatever that means to my young kids.
Yeah.
It's our lingo.
Wait,
I know.
Skibbity bad? Was that a good thing?
I don't even know, dude.
know.
I just actually, honestly, I just learned about what that word is, or like why like Gen Zers use it. I guess it was like a YouTuber or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of so I try to
I-
connect on different levels.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if your kids are that age, obviously you have to learn their
I don't know
lingo.
if they're talking crap about us or not because they're like talking a whole other language. But,
Dude, if anything, I mean, if your kids are watching this and, you know, or they're watching it later on when they're older, like, I would probably say to you guys, like, you guys have the dopest parents. And I sincerely believe, like, they have the best interest for you guys. And they do everything for you guys. So no matter how they look right now at your age, I'm telling you, you're going to look at your parents differently when you get older and you actually start having to deal with life, you know? So I mean, like I said earlier, I definitely look up to you guys, and I'm always gonna. I mean, I'm gonna be a patron forever as long as we're running. I'm running with you guys, man. So
That's awesome. I really appreciate that.
just let people know, I guess, how if they wanted to book an appointment and how they could look you guys up, like IG or the website. You guys have it down, or we could put it on the screen if anything.
We do have a website.
If we just search Salon Divina, Chino Hills, if anything,
Yeah.
that'll pop up, right?
It'll pop up. You can book through our website. You could book through Google. You could book on Instagram.
Nice.
You know, it's easy to get in.
Yeah, it's on Yelp too.
And I'll drop the IG and everything like on the podcast itself. So
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's usually how people. I mean, Yelp is a big one. You can Yelp us, and
Yeah.
a lot of our clients come from Yelp.
oh really? And you could book directly through Yelp.
You can
right?
book through Yelp
Yeah.
too.
Cool.
Book any way you want.
Salon Divina is going to be here for a while, guys. So I'm definitely confident in that.
That's the plan.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for being open and being candid. I mean, obviously, whatever we decide to keep on here, it's up to you guys. I'm down for anything. But for me, like it was good for me to just get a backstory of everything because I'm from the outside. I see this thing being built. I'm like, cool. I would have never known there's like this druggie guy that's been living here for a week and building this place on top of everything
yeah.
that we've talked about. So I really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast.
Thank you. No,
Thank you.
it's been a long time coming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've
know.
been talking about this
Yes.
for a while.
It's been a while.
I'm glad we finally got it together and made it happen.
Timing.
Timing. And at some point, when it calls us again and there's like an update in the story,
Yeah.
you guys know I'm more than happy to have you guys back. So
Oh yeah, I'm just excited to show this to my kids when they're like 15 years later. Be like, see, we were kind of cool, right? Yeah.
A little bit.
Bit.
I genuinely meant that, guys. Like you guys have dope parents. They're really cool.
Thank
Hey,
you.
thank you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for having us.
Thank you.